people on Zoom, although one can't hear me yet. Now I can. All right, so I'm not sure the one that's on Zoom is really there. So Alex, make sure you throw in the chat box your name so that I have a record of you being there. And anyway, we're gonna get going here. Hi, Drew. All right, so we're going to talk about lead generation today, but ultimately we're going to talk more about setting appointments. And how I want to walk you through this is I'm going to give you basically the story of me getting my real estate license and the process that I went through, and the idea being to hopefully shorten that down for you. So what I have learned is the process of getting your real estate career rolling, or maybe even if you have already been licensed, getting to the next level, is going to look something like this. And I probably drew that a little too long, but it'll work. So the process is going to look something like this, and it gets broken down into 4 different areas that are going to look about like this. Okay? So we're going to talk today about what I like to refer to as a journey to mastery. So there's a book that was written by George Leonard that the name of the book is Mastery. And it's not a very thick book, but it's a good book that just talks about what it takes to master any type of a skill. And in that book, he talks about how the process to mastering any type of a skill is going to look something like this blue line. Now, he goes a little bit further in that than what we're going to talk about today. But that journey is going to get broken down into these 4 categories. So now, with that being said, I'm going to back up for a minute and tell you about what got me to decide to come into real estate, and then how I learned this process. So I was working at a bank, and I was working out in their operations department, and I oversaw the research, and it was called the research and adjustments department. So if somebody ever needed a copy of a check, the department that I ran would oversee going to the microfilm and printing off the copy of the check. Or if somebody had a problem with their account where a check got processed for the wrong amount or whatever, then we would research it to figure that out and then correct it and make any of those adjustments. Well, I was doing that, and then my wife and I decided we wanted to buy a house. And we had found a HUD home that was for sale. And I don't know how we got connected with this real estate agent, but somehow we got connected with an agent that lived somewhere close by us. And we go and we look at this HUD home, and we decided we were going to try to buy this HUD home. And it was $50,000 was the price of the house. And we were like, I don't know if we can afford $50,000 for a house. But we submitted an offer, and tons of people made offers. We got outbid on the house, so we didn't get it. Well, I had an uncle that was a builder, and so I called up my uncle and said, hey, we're thinking about buying a house, and was just curious, like, if you could help us if we decided we wanted to build. He said yes. We went and met with him. He told us about a neighborhood that he was just going to be starting to build, and the home prices were $75,000, and we were like, oh, I don't know if we could do that, but we did qualify. We built a house with him. Well, during that time, I had asked this agent that was out showing us properties, like, hey, this seems like kind of a cool job. You know, how do you get started in selling real estate? And so she gave me the schedule for Stringham Real Estate School. I went and signed up for Stringham, and then after I finished Stringham, I called up my uncle and I said, oh, let me back up. I had called my uncle after we had built a house with him. I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license. What do you think? And he said, well, I have 4 agents who sit my model homes. And now this was in like 1993 or 94. He said, 2 of them I paid over $100,000 last year. The other 2 I paid over $60,000. Well, at the time I was making probably $35,000 a year. And I was like, $60,000 sounds great to me, but 100 would even be better. So I go to school, I get my real estate license. I call my uncle and I say, okay, I got my real estate license. Could I come and sit one of your model homes? And he said, well, I have 4 agents that sit the model homes. If I put a 5th one in there, then now we're taking that $320,000 and splitting it 5 ways instead of the 4 ways. And I don't think they'll be happy about it. So you probably ought to do something else until I get an opening. Okay. So I say, well, where should I go? Now, I then went and met with a broker, and my uncle had recommended to me, and I decided, hey, that's where I'm going to go to work. So I go get my license, I sit down with him, and he says to me, how much money do you want to make? Now, I told him at the time, I said the same thing that most agents that get their real estate license, still today, 28 years later, most of the time, agents come into real estate saying, I want to make $100,000 a year. So I told him, I want to make $100,000 a year. He says, okay, well, the average sales price is $200,000. No, sorry, not $200,000. The average sales price was like $150. But basically he said the average commission, that's what I meant to say, is the average commission is $2,000. Well, if you wanted to make $100,000 and you're going to get on average $2,000 per check, how many closings do you have to do to make 100,000? 50, right? Easy math. Now, what he told me is this, is he said, if you want to make $100,000, you're going to get $2,000 a check, you got to get 50 closings a year. And I said, was that possible to do? And he said, absolutely. What you need to do is this, is you need to go and talk to, and even still today, you'll hear this. You'll hear John and George say this. However many people you talk to on a daily basis is the number of transactions you'll do in a year. And so I said, okay, that works for me. Now, let me pause in the story for a minute to give you kind of the idea of the first steps of this. So the first step on this journey to mastery that we are going to take here is the first area is what we call the activities phase. In the activities phase is where, well, let me ask it this way. So Gabe, you probably are the most recent graduate from real estate school. I don't know if that's true, but did they teach you in real estate school how to sell a house?
No.
What did they teach you?
They teach you like how to not get in trouble, basically.
Yeah, so in essence, you go to real estate school and they don't teach you how to sell a house. What they do instead is they teach you how to stay out of jail, right? That's what they're teaching you. And really what they're teaching you in real estate school is how to pass the test. So what happens is people get their real estate license, and after they get their real estate license, they're like, okay, well, first I need to go to some classes and learn how to do this so that if somebody asks me, I'll know what to do. So I remember I got my license, I went out and I was knocking on doors. The very first neighborhood of doors that I knocked on was just off of 5400 South and where Bangerter Highway is today. Bangerter wasn't there yet, and in fact, the house that I'm going to talk about is like, well, I don't know if you can still see it now that they put an overpass on Bangerter, but you used to be able to see it right off Bangerter Highway because it like backed right up to it. And I remember the first time I went out knocking on doors, I went with a couple of agents from the office. We pulled up to this neighborhood, we stopped, we parked, we get out, and I said, okay, now what am I going to do if somebody says yes? Because I don't know about how you guys felt, but as a brand new agent, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So if somebody says, yes, I want to sell my house, I don't know what to do. And here's the best part is the agent said to me, oh, don't worry, they won't. And I was like, oh, well, so why are we doing this? Yeah, why are we going to go knock on doors? Oh, so I don't know. Pass that back around so we have everybody. So anyway, I was like, okay. So I go and I'm knocking on doors and I get to that last house on the street. It was a blue multi-level home. I knock on the door. The guy opens the door and I say, hey, we've got this home listed for sale over here and blah, blah, blah. And I go through the script and I said, have you ever thought about moving? And he says, yes. And I said, oh, well, okay, well, if you could move, where would you move to? And he said, Wendover. And I was like, oh, so when would that be? And he's like, I wish I could do it, would have done it yesterday. And I was like, oh, like, so you like really want to sell your house? And he was like, yeah. And I said, oh, well, I'm kind of busy today. And so can I come back another time and I'll talk to you? And that is exactly what happened. So I scheduled an appointment. I went back. I did get the listing. which total side note to that, since I'm on the story of this. So I go back to the office and I say to the manager, his name was Tom. I'm like, Tom, hey, so I got this person who wants to sell their house. And he says, okay, great. Here's the listing paperwork. I had not read through anything. He said, just have him sign all this stuff. Okay. So I drive over to his house after I had scheduled an appointment. I show up there and I say to him, hey, I'm here to help you get your home sold. He says, all right, let's talk about it. So we go through and then I start to have him sign the paperwork. And he says, well, just kind of tell me what I'm signing. So as I'm going through the listing paperwork, I get to the commission and I look down and it says 7%. Well, I just had assumed it was always 6%. And he says to me, how much is the commission? And I said, it looks like it's 7%. And he just said, okay. And he signed everything. Well, I didn't know any different because it was printed on the form. So it wasn't like ours today where it's a blank line. It said 7%. So I take it back to the office and I walk into Tom and I hand it to him and he says, so he signed it? And I said, yeah. And he's like, awesome. And okay. So then I don't remember what day of the week it was, but we had our sales meeting on a Tuesday. So that next Tuesday, we get into our sales meeting and Tom says to the agents in the meeting, he says, hey, just want to let you guys know, we got Russ here, got his first new listing. Everybody claps. Woo. And he says, and get this, guys, he took the listing for 7%. And everybody's like, whoa, good job. And I was like, I didn't know you couldn't do anything less. So anyway, so just so you know, that was a good lesson for me though. And I still today have done a lot of 7 and even 8% listings because I just know you can do it. And so don't assume you can't get a 7% listing because you can get 7 and even 8% listings. And there are a lot of agents still doing that today, even in this market. So don't just give up. Okay, so back to this activities phase. During the activities phase, because nobody taught us how to really sell real estate, what ends up happening is we then kind of go, well, I need to go take some classes first, and I need to learn how to use the MLS, and I need to learn what all the paperwork means. All those kinds of things are the activities phase. Well, if this blue line represents your income, how much money do you make during the activities phase? Yeah, pretty much nothing, because the activities phase is all about what do I need to do? How do I do this? Okay? So we want to get out of that phase as fast as we can. Well, the next phase is what we would call the contacts phase. In the contacts phase is where we are just making contacts. Now, what happened then is, so coming back to my story, was Tom said, hey, if you want to make $100,000 a year, you need to do 50 contacts a day. And the number of contacts a day you do will be the transactions you do in a year. Now, I will tell you, you're going to hear that a lot. And I will also tell you, though, that I've learned it's not true. You're going to hear it. We're going to say it. You're going to hear it said all the time in real estate. You're going to hear John and George say it. But I'm going to tell you it's not true because I have watched a lot of agents go and make 50 contacts every single day and then not turn it into 50 transactions. Now, let me also give you the flip side. Brian Burnett, who is our top agent in the company, and last year, I think he did 2.8 million in commissions. He does 50 contacts a day. So you can do 50 contacts a day and do very little transactions, or you can do 50 contacts a day and you can make $2.8 million. So what's the difference? What's the difference?
Just skill level.
Exactly right.
And confidence.
Yeah, and so that's what we're going to talk about today is what's the difference? Because how do you do it? Because I started then doing 50 contacts a day. So I got my license. I went to a training class that I had started with Coldwell Banker. I went to the training class that they had. At the training class, I met another agent in my office. Her name was Shirley. Shirley and I decided let's prospect together because we had the same manager and he had told her this same thing. She wanted to make $100,000. So we both said, okay, we're going to go do 50 transactions a year, 50 contacts a day so that we can do 50 transactions in a year. So Shirley and I would make 50 contacts every single day. Every day, Shirley and I made 50 contacts. And what we would do is we would meet at the office at 9 a.m. At 9 o'clock in the morning, we would then do some role play. We'd usually role play from 9 to 9:30. At 9:30, we would go back our separate ways. We would get whatever stuff we needed to ready, and then we would meet at either her car or my car at 9:45, and we would drive out to Kearns, because we like to knock on doors in Hoffman Heights, if you know where Hoffman Heights is. At that time, the houses in Hoffman Heights would sell for $80,000, and we were like, we want the houses that are just going to sell really fast because they were the cheapest in the market. So we'd go knock on those doors, and we would knock from 10 o'clock until about noon, however long it took us to get 25 contacts. And then we'd go back to the office, we'd go our separate way for lunch, we'd meet back at 2 o'clock, and then from 2 o'clock until 4 or 4:30, we'd be on the phone calling till we got our other 25 contacts. So I was doing 50 contacts every day. After a year of doing that, I had made basically $35,000. Because I had closed about 17 homes, which is not bad
It's really
for
good your first year.
the first year. It's not bad, but it wasn't $100,000. So I had basically replaced the income that I had had from the bank. Well, fast forward now about a year and a half in, and I'm doing about still the same. And I went to a training, and at this training that I went to, the guy that was training me, we started to have this conversation about, I was telling him I'm frustrated because I wanted to make $100,000 a year. I was making my 50 contacts every single day, just like I was told to do, but it wasn't producing the results that I wanted to produce. And so what he told me then was this, is he drew this on the board and he said, here's your problem. Because, and probably really this line should be over slightly more, for where this blue line is. But he said, here's the problem. You're doing 50 contacts a day. Now, if this blue line again equals your income, what do you notice happened during the contacts phase? And again, assume maybe this is over to right here, but what do you notice about the blue line? Yeah, you're starting to make some money. But the problem was, he said, your focus, we're gonna talk about 4 different things here. So the first one is focus, okay? He said, here's the problem. Your focus is on making 50 contacts every single day. So guess what happens at the end of the day is you end up with 50 contacts. So yes, you're making some money, but if you really want to make more money, we got to get you out of this phase. So kind of think of it this way. I know we have a few that are newer, and when I say newer, like really new here right now, you got to get out of this phase as fast as you can. So Gabe, David, Tanner. Yeah. So you guys are all like brand new, right? So don't get stuck in this phase. You got to get out of this fear of like, I don't know what to do phase as fast as you can and just start making contacts. Like no different than what I was telling you of me going and knocking on doors. You got to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go do it. I'll figure it out somehow. And you never know, you might make more money because you'll get a 7% listing because you didn't know any better, right? But get out of this phase and into this one as fast as you can. Now, once you're in this phase though, the focus tends to be, which by the way, so let me pause again, part of why and you're gonna hear people saying is the number of contacts you make is the number of transactions you'll do. Part of why I'm okay with that being said still is because it will usually get people out of this phase and into this phase to start making contacts. And that's so important that you do that. And what this guy said to me at the training is he said, here's your problem. You're focused on contacts, and because you're focused on contacts, that's what you're getting every day, is you end up with 50 contacts, but you're not translating that into closings. So he said, we got to get you out of this phase and into this phase. This phase is what we call the appointments phase, okay? In the appointments phase, your focus is now going to be on appointments instead of contacts. So the first thing that I would tell you guys, if you want to set more appointments, your focus has to be on setting appointments, not on making contacts. Now, it's important to still keep track of contacts. I want to make sure you understand that. We want to keep track of our contacts that we're making because that's how you're going to know if you're being more effective or not. But at the end of the day, you got to change to this. So here's what the guy said to me. Instead of, this class that I had gone to was a Monday, Tuesday. then we would take a break for a week and go Wednesday, Thursday. Then we would take a break for 2 weeks and come back on a Friday. So the idea of that class was like, we're going to spend 2 days together, then we'll have a week off, spend 2 days, and then the last day was kind of sum everything up. What he said to me is, he said, if you want to make the $100,000 a year in real estate, you got to get out of the contacts phase and into the appointments phase. Now, what do you notice about the blue line in the appointments phase?
It starts going up even more.
Yeah, it's steep. It's the steepest part of this learning curve is that area. But that also is what's going to happen with your income during that phase. So said another way, this is the hardest phase from the standpoint of it's going to be a little more effort, or as you guys said earlier, it's a more skill-based piece, okay? So you got to change your focus to this. Now, so let me explain what happened. Is he said to me, I want you to commit, so this was a Tuesday, I want you to commit for the next week. So from that day until the next Wednesday when we would meet again. He said, I want you to commit to set one new appointment. So part of this appointments phase looks like this, is you set one new appointment per day. Okay? So what he said is you need to set one new appointment every single day. I said, okay. And he said, look, so what that means is you're not going to go home tomorrow until you've set an appointment. And I said, okay. And he said, will you commit to that? For the next week is every single day, set one new appointment. Now, let me make sure that I explain this to you guys, because a lot of times people hear what I said differently than what I actually said. You just have to set. Keyword is set. You don't have to go on it. You just have to set an appointment every day. And it has to be with somebody you've never met with before. So you can't count people 2 and 3 times, okay? So he says you got to set one new appointment every single day, and you can't go home tomorrow until you set an appointment. I said, okay. He said, I want to make sure you understand what I just said. Go home tonight and tell your wife, I'm not coming home tomorrow if I don't set an appointment. And I was like, oh, like you're serious. And he said, yeah, you do not go home if you haven't set an appointment. I said, well, I don't know if I want to commit to that. Now, the reason I didn't know if I wanted to is because I was doing 50 contacts every day, and I might in a week set 2 appointments. At that point was I might have set 2 appointments. So now all of a sudden he's saying, you can't go home tomorrow if you don't set an appointment. I said, okay. I'm not sure I want to commit. He said, you can do it, I promise. I promise you can do it. And I said, okay, I'll commit to it. So I went home that night and I told my wife, I am not coming home tomorrow if I don't set an appointment. And she said, okay, well, you better hurry because we have da-da-da-da-da in the evening and you got to be here for that. And I said, okay. So now let me ask you this question. If you were going to do that, if that was you and you said, tomorrow I will not go home until I set an appointment, what time would you start work tomorrow? If you knew I have to set an appointment tomorrow no matter what.
8 a.m.
Early.
Yeah.
Okay. What about this side of the room?
Yeah. 8 a.m.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, what I did is I left my house that next morning at 7 o'clock. And I drove, because back then we had to stop and get the newspaper from 7-Eleven or something to find for sale by owners. So I left my house at 7 a.m., went to 7-Eleven, stopped and bought the newspaper, got to the office, opened it up, circled all the for sale by owners so I could call them. I went and printed off the expireds off of the MLS, and then I had to look them up. We had a Kohl's book that was like this thick. It's basically a phone book, but it was in address order instead of alphabetical order. So we'd go through and find all those. I had all that stuff ready to go. 8 a.m., man, I am on the phone calling. Now, what I found is here's the other thing. Let me ask you this too. Who would you be calling? If you knew you had to set an appointment tomorrow, no matter what, who would you be calling? Okay, good.
Yeah, your friends, your family, your like the people you're like, you know, we're gonna have your back.
Okay, so that's not who I called. I actually had a different group that I called first. So stop and think for a minute. If you had to set an appointment, okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
People you don't know, personal voters.
Okay, that's good too, but that's still not who I called
Now,
first.
people that you know that are actually trying to sell their house, like for sale by owners or expired.
That's good. That's good too. But you guys are still missing out on, and nope. Expired is good too, but that's not who I called.
Your mom. No, I'm just
No,
I
I called my leads. All of the leads, the people who had already told me. Remember, I had been already doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I had tons of people that had said, yeah, we're thinking about it, we're thinking of, so that's the first place I went is who are the people who have already told me we're thinking about it? So I started calling them at 8 o'clock. Well, by 10 o'clock, I had set an appointment. And now, so remember I told you about Shirley. Shirley was not part of this class that I had gone to. So Shirley shows up at 9 o'clock and says to me, hey, let's get ready to go, let's go role play so we can go door knocking. So I went and role played with her. We got done with role play and she's like, all right, we'll meet and go door knock. Now, let me pause for a minute. The other thing that this guy told me, and I think this is crucial, at least initially, if you're gonna do what I'm talking about here, is number one is don't go home until you set an appointment. Number two, though, is once you've set the appointment, do whatever you have to do at the office or whatever, and then be done with work. That was the other part of the deal with him was you will work until you set an appointment. Once you set an appointment, if you have appointments, go on them, obviously. If you got paperwork to do, do it. But once that's done, you're done for the day. Don't stay at the office till 5 or 6 or whatever. Like just as soon as you set your appointment, you're done. Be done.
Wow.
So now let's go back to my story. So Shirley shows up, we go in and role play, and she's like, all right, let's go knock on doors at 10. Remember, I have already set an appointment by 10 o'clock. So I tell Shirley, I got a few things to do at the office, and then I'm going home. So by noon that first day, I go walking in the house, and my wife's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm done. I set my appointment for the day, so I'm done with work. Now, keep in mind, I was making $35,000 a year at that point. So my wife's like, I don't think this is a good idea. And I just said, look, it's just for a week. So if at the end of the week, I'm not feeling like this is working better, then I'll go back to doing what I was doing. Same thing I told Shirley, because Shirley was a great accountability partner because she would not let me off the hook easily. She was like, no, you're still going door knocking. And I had to tell Shirley, just for the next week, I'm not going door knocking if I've already set my appointment. If I haven't, I'll go door knocking with you. But if I have, I'm not going. So every single day that week, I set an appointment. And let me back up because I forgot one other key piece that he told me. To set 50 contacts back then took me between 4 and 5 hours a day. It would take me between 4 and 5 hours to get to 50 contacts. One of the things he told me too is he said, if you'll do this and move to here, he said, you will prospect half as much. You'll do half as much prospecting, but your income is going to double. So I said, okay. So now, remember I said it was taking 4 to 5 hours to do this. All of a sudden during that week, I had set an appointment 2 to 2.5 hours is what it took me to set an appointment in my prospecting. Now, so what changed?
Focus.
Motivation and focus.
Yeah, my focus changed from making contact. So let me show you the difference though, because this is what it looked like initially when I would knock on somebody's door. So I'd knock on Julie's door, knock knock. Hi, my name's Russ, I'm with Century 21. We just listed your neighbor's home over on Birch and Pine. It's listed for $599. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Who do you know that wants to move into the area?
I don't know anybody really right now.
Okay, well, have you thought about selling?
Not right away.
No? Okay. Well, do you know anybody thinking about selling?
The neighbor mentioned it once.
Oh, really? Okay, who was the neighbor?
Just a couple houses down the street.
Okay, do you mind telling me which one so I can go talk to him?
It's the red one.
The red one? Okay, cool. I'll go talk to him. Thanks. Here's my card if you ever have anything need.
Okay.
Then I go to the next house. Knock, knock.
Yes.
Hey, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. We just listed your neighbor's home, blah, 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 blah. Who do you know that wants to move into the area?
I don't know anybody.
Okay, have you thought about selling your house or buying a new one?
No.
Do you know anybody thinking about buying or selling?
Nope.
What about the people in the red house? Just kidding. Then I go knock, knock.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. We listed your neighbor's home, blah, blah, blah. Do you know anybody?
No,
Do you want to sell your house at all?
no,
Do you know anybody thinking about it?
no.
Okay, thanks. Like, but now stop and think about it for a minute. If your objective is to get to 50 contacts, I don't want to talk to her for very long, or him for very long.
Yeah.
Because the less I talk to you, there's one, there's two, like, look how quick I just got 3 contacts.
Yeah.
Now though, as soon as you switch from this to, okay, I gotta set an appointment, what's gonna change in my conversation?
Well, I think even just the verbiage, the way you approach them, everything, she said, when you asked, have you thought of selling, well, not right away, that means at some point.
Yeah.
So like, then you continue the conversation, but if she's just the contact, you're checking off the list.
Yeah, I don't care because I just gotta get to 50.
So you value the interaction a lot more.
Good.
See
Yeah.
that as a bigger piece and rather than just kind of a check mark on the board.
Perfect, that's right. So yeah, so let me show you what changed. Because now all of a sudden, if I can set an appointment, I'm done. I don't have to call anybody else. I don't have to knock on the next person's door. So now let me show you what I changed and what I did differently. Now don't just roll over, but at the same time, like, like decide whatever, and I can either get an appointment or not. It's fine either way.
Okay.
Okay, so knock knock.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. We just listed your neighbor's home over here on Birch and Pine, $599, 3 beds, 2 baths. Who do you know that wants to move into the area? Can't think of anybody? Okay, well, I appreciate you thinking about it. How about you? Have you thought about selling your home? When do you plan on moving?
Not right away.
No plans right away? Okay, well, so how long have you lived here?
Like 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Really? That's great. Where did you move from?
I'm using my own. North Salt Lake.
From North Salt Lake to here?
Mhm.
Really? So what brought you here?
Just the pricing was a little better.
A little bit better pricing. That totally makes sense. Okay, well, let me ask you, if you ever were to move, where would you go next?
Good question. I haven't really thought about it. I don't know, just kind of maybe a little more in the country down the road.
It's more in the country, down the road? Okay, cool. So when do you think that would be?
About 30 years.
Oh, 30 years, wow, so you're a little ways out. Okay, well, let me ask you this, how are you using real estate to plan for your financial future? Which I actually didn't, I will tell you, I didn't, usually I would have stopped right, for me, back when I was actually doing this, I stopped right there. Now, I'll tell you why, is at that point, here's what I found, is if I could get them talking and I asked them, if you were to move, where would you go next? They usually would tell me if they were really thinking about it. And where she said, oh, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it. And then when she said, I don't know, maybe 30 years down the road, when I first was doing this, I would have cut it off right then. Today, I add in well, how are you using real estate to plan for your financial future?
I don't know that much about it, honestly.
Okay, well, have you ever considered owning investment properties?
I don't have enough money right now.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, if there was a way you could do it with no money, is that something you would be interested in?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's set up a time that you and I can sit down and we'll walk you through the process. Are afternoons or evenings better?
I'm kind of curious about that.
Okay.
No money.
Yeah, so are afternoons or evenings gonna be better?
Probably evenings.
So would 5 or 6 o'clock be better?
6.
6 o'clock, okay, and would Thursday or Friday be better?
Friday.
Friday at 6 o'clock. Okay, let's plan on that. Oh, so now I've just set an appointment. Now remember, at this point, my objective here is just to set an appointment. Now, is that a good solid appointment? Maybe, maybe not. So here's the thing that the next step that I would do is, and we're not gonna get into this today, but the next step after I've set the appointment. So most agents want to pre-qualify before they set an appointment. Set the appointment first, then pre-qualify. So now, so let me show you what I would do then. So I would have said, okay, so Friday, 6 o'clock, perfect. So before I come out though, I'm gonna have my lender give you a call, and what he's gonna do is just find out kind of your credit score and just some of that other stuff and see what loan programs has available for you to find a property. And then after you've talked with him, then I will call you and we'll confirm the appointment. So my next step here is I'm gonna have the lender call to find out, is it even worth going and talking to her?
But you just also told her you can do it with no money, so if I were her, I'd be like, well, why am I talking to a lender right now? You know what I mean?
Well, so I'm saying with no money
Oh,
down.
Gotcha,
Cause,
gotcha.
'cause we could
Yeah.
potentially find something, but, and the other side of it is, why I want the lender to call is to find out, is does she really have no money? Could we tap into an IRA?
She's been there 20 years, she's got money.
What?
She's got 20 minutes, she's been in her house for 20
Yeah,
years. She's got money.
thank you, yeah. That's the other side of it, is she's probably got equity that we could go and do a home equity loan, pull some of the, so that's the idea but again, I wanna make sure I'm clear with you guys,
Or she already did.
is I'm not gonna probably show up to that appointment though, meaning I'll probably cancel it, if I have the lender call and the lender's like, yeah, their credit score's bad, like they don't have, they already have a home equity, they've already pulled all of it out. Like, I'm not showing up to that appointment if it doesn't seem like it's gonna be worth doing. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I wanna run you through what happened with, what changed in that conversation. But first, let me come back to, I just really wanna reemphasize again. In the conversation the first time, it was all about, for me, if I knocked on Julie's door and she opened it and I said, hi, my name's Russ, I'm with Century 21, and we've got your neighbor's home listed, blah, 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 who do you know that wants to move into the neighborhood? Nobody, and slams the door. I was like, there's one. I didn't care, like it didn't matter, because there was one. Versus now, when I have to set an appointment, like I want to talk, and if I can talk longer to her, but turn it into an appointment, that is much better than hitting 50 contacts. Is it following me? Okay. All right. So now let me walk you through. What's that?
Oh, I was just saying it gives you a different perspective, because we've got him out door knocking for like, from his first day started basically.
Oh, good. Tell me, how's that going?
Well, it was just for open houses that we were holding, so I was handing out flyers, but usually I'm not really selling anything, so people are just pretty open to it, and I just invite them. But I have had a couple people who were like, I don't need to talk to you, so I just asked them if they know anyone who's looking for opportunity.
Okay. Good.
Just keep going.
So I'm gonna start role playing with you now then. Okay. Sorry, Julie. I got a new partner. All right.
Sorry.
The next piece of this is to connect. So first thing is, the first thing that has to happen is you first have to have your focus on, I am going to set an appointment with every single person I talk to. Now, in fact, actually, let me even tell you a quick story on this. This happened actually before I started doing this piece. But when I was doing the 50 contacts a day and in the afternoon, I would be making the phone calls. The way that the office, where my cubicle was in the office, was like right outside of the manager's door, but there was a wall that was, maybe like the ceiling was more than 8 feet tall in the building we were in, but the wall went up probably 8 feet tall. So you could hear, like it wasn't blocked off, but there was just a wall to kind of separate so that somebody walking in the front door couldn't see the whole office. So my cubicle was right there. So it was basically my cubicle, the wall, the hall, and then the manager's door. Well, he was trying to recruit an agent, and he came out of his office, and I just happened to hear him say to this recruit, hey, one of the agents is just on the other side of that wall making prospecting calls. Let's sit here and listen to him for a minute. Well, because I knew he was listening, I tried a little bit harder and set an appointment on that. But even with that, like I didn't realize till after I learned this, like what's your focus? Because once my focus, when I knew somebody else is listening to me prospect, I wanted to look good. So I pushed a little bit more and set an appointment from that. Now, so the first thing is we have to have that focus. Second thing is we have to connect with them, okay? Now, the way that you're gonna do that to connect with people is you first need to ask a question. After you've asked the question, you're then going to repeat back what they said and affirm, okay? So we wanna repeat and affirm back to them. Now, here's what I will tell you on this. People, this is a Tony Robbins thing. People like people who are like them or who they want to be. So people like people who are like them or who they want to be. So part of what we want to do with this on this repeat and affirm is I'm going to be saying, so, and I didn't do it the first time with Julie, but the second time when I said, so who do you know that wants to move into the area? And you said,
I don't really know anybody.
okay, so then what I, if you noticed afterwards, I said, you don't know anybody right now? So I repeated back what she said. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to think about it. So now I'm just acknowledging her. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to stop and think about it. We always need to be able to, we need to repeat back or summarize what they said and then affirm it. Hey, that's great. I appreciate you taking the time to think about it. Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Whatever it is, okay? Now, so we're going to always repeat and affirm. The other thing that we will do, if it makes sense, is empathy. We want to, hey, if I were you, I would do the same thing. If I were you, I'd feel the same way. Specifically, and we'll talk more about this on Tuesday, but with for sale by owners and expireds, you have to use empathy. With a for sale by owner and expired, you've got to do this because they're going to say, I hate agents. Hey, if I were you, I would be frustrated with agents too. Or they're going to say, I want to save the commission, so I didn't want to use an agent. If I were you, I would feel the exact same way. Now, if you were them, would you feel the same way? Yeah. So you're not saying they're right. You're just saying, if I were you, I would feel the exact same way that you're feeling. So you're giving them, hey, if I were you, I would feel the same way. The other thing that you want to do during this repeat and affirm is, especially if, like, and I didn't do this before, but with Julie, when she said, I said, how long have you lived at this address? And she said 20 years. Like, really build on that. 20 years, you're kidding. That's awesome. You have been here for 20 years. Like, so what are some of the things you've seen take place in the 20 years that you've been here? Like, ask some questions that are going to be, or like, what are some of the things you just love? You obviously like the neighborhood. What are some of the things you love about this neighborhood? She's then going to tell me some of the things she loves about the neighborhood. Then I'm going to follow it up with, well, if there were some things you could change, what would you change? See, by asking some of those questions is going to create this connection. So by me, hey, you've been here 20 years? Wow, like I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of changes in the neighborhood. You know, what are some of the things you love about your neighborhood?
You know, I really like neighbors. They're really friendly, so down to earth.
So really friendly and down-to-earth people. God, that's great. That's awesome. Well, if you could change some things about your neighborhood, what would you change?
Probably not so many people. It's just a little pretty crowded. Houses are close together.
Okay, so that's where you would want to go. So getting crowded, then I would follow that up with, well, so if you ever were to move, where would you go? And she already said the country, which would make sense with what she was saying, right? Then you follow that up with, okay, so when would that be? And at that point, she was like, I don't know, 30 years or whatever. Okay, so to connect, we got to ask questions. We're going to repeat and affirm. We're going to use empathy with them. Next, number 3 is create value. Or you could think of this as make them curious too, is another way. So one of two things. You've either got to create them some value or you've got to make them curious. In order to set the appointment, so first I got to have that be my focus. Second is I got to connect, meaning you got to get to where they'll be willing to talk to you. And in fact, I'm going to show you guys a video here real quick. Although I initially wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to. So I didn't prepare and have it pulled up already, so we'll get this pulled up here.
Russ,
Yeah.
if I'm not getting anywhere with someone, I'll just say, do you have any neighbors that you'd like to see? I should go talk to.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
They'll usually point one out.
Yeah, that is a good, I think that is a good thing to do, is there something that you think you would like to get out of here?
You would ask that.
I do it all the time.
You do?
All right, let me get the screen down here so you guys can see it.
They'll laugh.
Usually if they don't like them, maybe they don't like Tim. They want to get us.
It's share the screen so people on YouTube. Okay, so the two things that I want you to pay attention to on this, like some of the stuff's maybe not totally appropriate, but pay attention to the create value, or excuse me, connect and create value or make curious on this, okay? Okay.
Quick like Nestle and beat it like Michael Jackson. That's why your neighbor said I remind him of Nicolas Cage because I'm gone in 60 seconds. But watch this right here, Dad. Look, who does this the most on the window? The kids, the dogs, that are ugly black guys that eat fried chicken. Now you see these water spots? Look, they get whiter than my elbows without lotion. Watch this, Dad, and I'm out here. Because Stevie Wonder says seeing is believing. And I got a disease called enthusiasm, so I'm going to cut straight to the mustard. Watch this, though. Don't laugh too hard because the neighbor's going to see this black kid scrubbing your window, okay? But look, wax on, wax off like Mr. Miyagi. Remember the Karate Kid? Now watch this, the air dry. Look, it puts a coating on your window. No water spots, no fingerprints, no streaks. That's why we can't sell it to criminals. Don't tell OJ or Tiger Woods, okay? High five. They've been loving this stuff. Now, Dad, y'all, you and Mom, y'all would agree. Oh my God! You see this right here? Who did that one? Who did that? Okay, watch this. Now, my mom said if it's darker than me and it don't pay the bills, it shouldn't be there, right? God bless you. Now look, this right here, we just upgraded like Beyonce. This is our new surfactant. Hold this and watch this, because this should be the main reason why you get the HBO special. You know what HBO means? No. You get to help a brother out. Yeah, I've been on the road like toilet paper. Half of your neighbors in the community, they say they just go get it because I'm funny, because this stuff sells itself. Look, you just go back and forth like an argument. Now, I ain't Jesus, but look how I spit that like Moses did the Red Sea. Paint me green, call me a pickle. And look at this right here, look. Goes good with chicken. Don't drink it though, it'll give you the Hershey squirts. But look, that one bottle lasts longer than my last relationship. Y'all got water, right? Yeah. High five, you qualify to use it. Oh yeah, Mom. Now, this is my last demo and I'm out your hair quicker than your favorite shampoo. Y'all familiar with these right here, Sharpies? Yeah. Now watch this, even though I'm black, it ain't black magic, it just worked. Cause look, say you got this in the clothes or the carpets or the laundry. Would you agree that's hard to get out? Probably. Would you throw it out, shout it out, get OJ to stab it out, Mike Tyson to bite it out, Kobe Bryant to... Well, he was.
Oh, okay. You were done.
It was a multiple choice funny joke, because you know you can't put bleach on colors, right? Sure. Look at this. This safe on colors. That's why we couldn't sell it to Sammy Sosa. But look, you just spray the spray, right? Now, this right here takes out ink, blood, coffee stains, grass stains, Kool-Aid, lipstick, gum glue, candle wax. Would you say that's whiter than a Colgate Smile? Now, oh my goodness, you see that?
Can I use it on my teeth?
It ain't Jesus in a bottle. I use mine, they turn brown. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you just use it on for your house. What's the hardest thing to clean? Would it be carpet, the tile, barbecue grills, the shower doors, that oil and rust in the driveway that's blacker than my mother but not as beautiful, or that calcium right there?
Can I put this on YouTube?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you selling? What is it?
Personality.
Sure.
But this sells itself though. It's called Advantage, the Wonder Cleaner, best thing since cake and ice cream. Now, unlike Madonna, it's never been touched. So you only put 2 caps in a bottle. Well, I just come, most of your neighbors, they just get it because they like me. Y'all familiar with Tony Robbins? Yeah. See, I'm taking this course because this is how Jamie Foxx started off door to door. And he said 2 years of door to door selling is equivalent to 4 years of college communication, how you interact with different people. That's why half of the neighbors don't buy it because of work. They just get it because they like my tenacity, because they said it in an easy task going door to door.
How much is it?
I'm pretty sure Windex and bleach ain't never knocked on y'all door, made you laugh when Mom went and got the camcorder just to tape it, right? High five. That's all I'm saying. But what y'all do for a living? Y'all must be in sales too, huh?
Kind of.
I know, because your house bigger than my whole neighborhood. And Zig Ziglar said every great salesperson buy from a good one, right? God bless you. But that's why I said, just try the one. You only got to buy the case today like Matt Light. My mom said you can't get the whole chicken, at least get the wing, right? And oatmeal beat no meal. But like I said, you only put 2 caps, 20 ounces of water, so that one bottle make you 68 sprayers. But you should just save my autograph, because by the time you run out, you probably see me on Last Comic Standing, and then you go to eBay and get your money back. Because even Jesus said if you give a person a fish, you can feed them for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, you can feed them for a lifetime, right?
Sure.
God bless you. But if y'all had it, what would you try it on first? Did that right there, or the hard water spots, or just because I'm funny?
What? I don't know. How much is it?
Well, the one bottle is just 36 a bottle, and you get a spray bottle, it makes you 68 bottle. I just get 50% of that, because if I don't sell nothing, I don't get nothing. That's why your neighbor, he said, I'm just going to get it because you're funny, because the one thing that your neighbors did, look, right here, you know all of these cleaners, this is another joke though, so take this one. But you know all of these cleaners right here y'all use? They said this stuff is like a pregnant lady on welfare, it don't work.
Okay.
You get it? Because you know there's Clorox, Simple Green, 409, Comics, Spick and Span, Pine Sol. Y'all probably use a lot of those, right? Now, if you had a choice of grabbing a solid dollar or 100 pennies, what's easier?
Dollar.
High five there. So you sharper than Gillette. That's what I'm talking about. Now, this should be really the check test for y'all, though. Now, Mom, you see y'all door handle? That brass? Oh, my God. Pull the door up. Watch this. This should be the main reason why y'all get to get rid of me special. All right.
Can you sell it for $30?
I'll get fired right now. But what you can do, Mom, you can write this off for fundraising, though. That's what most of your neighbors been doing.
What?
You get the
Was
right.
that a yes?
I like you, You must be a teacher.
No.
Because you got a lot of class. But you see right here, though, for real? No, you get to write it off, though. That's why a lot of your neighbors don't do it from their pocket. They do it from their heart. But I tell you what I can do. If y'all get the one bottle, I'm going to throw in a free Mary Kay, Christian Dior, Calvin Klein, Louis Vuitton spray bottle to go with it. But this should be the check test, though. You see this brass right here? Now, I'm going to be honest. When the last time y'all seen this look shiny like a baby hiney? When y'all first bought the house? God bless you. Watch this right here. Now,
It's so old.
I know, now it's about to be brand new. It's gonna go from 79 to 2010. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That's worth the bottle right
Wipe
there.
it off the door,
Oh
did
yeah, it won't. Don't panic. It's organic. Remember, I told you it won't fade color. Remember, that's why we couldn't. That's why we couldn't sell it to Michael Jackson. Well, our product need OSHA, USDA, EPA, and PETA. You know, this is safe around dogs, unlike Michael Vick, and it's safe around kids, unlike Pee Wee Herman. High five. Oh yeah. Would you say the show alone worth me getting a commission off that one bottle?
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why you should do it from your heart. You think I can do stand-up comedy?
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why I'm doing it. This is a stepping stone for me because I get a commission to pay for my acting school. That's why a lot of your neighbors.
Are you
don't.
from around here?
I'm from my mama. Don't tell my daddy he a faggot. But we stay out here now. Yeah, we stay in Red.
What's your name?
Kenny Brooks. Why you gonna see me on TV? Make sure you take that Kenny Brooks.
Well, cause I think if you're around, cause we play music in bands and we have it'd be perfect to have you come up and between bands and say some shit.
High five there. Y'all, why y'all so nice, man? Y'all cooler than the other side of the pillow. Dang, if I had y'all hands, I'd cut mine off. Cause your neighbor's been working me like I'm black and paying me like I'm Mexican. That's why I'm trying to get off work. I had one neighbor try to make me clean the toilet. I was like, dang. Y'all, but that's why I said just try one, because I know they ain't gonna take the cheese out y'all macaroni. And Mom, it ain't like y'all can't use it though, because you use it on everything. Only thing you can't use it on is Dirty Mind, Dirty Soul, and Nosy Neighbors. That's why we call it Jesus in the bottle. And then you know the bugs that commit suicide on the front of your car? Yeah. They told me the bugs out here is bad in the morning, bro. Watch this right here to see it's unisex. But it's made. I have to leave them. Okay, well just try one. You can do cash, check, or chicken wings, because you get. Alright. Okay. Alright, so did he connect?
Yeah.
Did he create value?
Yes.
So give me, what did he do? He created value.
You recognize needs, and you saw things around that there was a need.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think is awesome is he took his product and was just like, all right, let me show you how it can clean up this spot or clean, like that totally created value of the product. Now, have any of you guys had the salespeople that sell that coat? They're all hilarious like that. And I have twice paid for the bottle, and my wife the second time was like, we never even used the first one. Why? And I'm like, he earned it. Like I had to do it. So, but notice though, the same thing applies for you. If you create value or you make them curious, they're going to feel the same type of thing. Now, granted, you probably not. There's a difference of selling your house versus just paying $38 for a bottle of cleaning spray. But whatever.
That dude would be such a good realtor, though.
Oh.
I want to hear like his spiels every time.
Oh, yeah, it would be awesome. It would be awesome. So, okay, so we got to create value or make them curious. So now here's the other thing that I want to say on this is when you are calling people, there are you're gonna hear two different things, two different lines of thinking. Some people will say, don't ever leave a message. You're gonna hear some that say, do leave a message. I'm fine either way. Leave a message, don't leave a message. Although, I will say this, and make sure you hear this part. If you're gonna leave somebody a message, you have to create enough value or make them curious enough that they'll call you back. Because stop and think about it for you. When somebody calls and leaves you a message, you listen to it for how long before you figure out this is a salesperson and delete?
Read it. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, you would just read it even. So that's where I'm not big on leaving a message. If you're going to, though, it's got to make them curious, okay? It's got to be something that makes them curious. So let me give you an example of that. Got this from a book that's called The Secrets of Question-Based Selling. Thomas Freeze is the author. In that book, he's talking about making people curious. And he tells actually a real estate agent, like, if you're going to leave a message for somebody, it's got to make them curious. And so he left this message. I'm holding your tax records in my hand and I have some questions for you. Please give me a call. Like, what do you think the chances that they're going to call you back if you do that?
Very fast.
They're probably going to call back because they're going to be like, why are you holding the tax? Now, don't say that if you're not. And you could, though. The good news is you can pull it up on the MLS and you could say, I've got your tax records pulled up in front of me and I have some questions for you. Please call me back.
I saw one the other day from Tom Ferry. Actually, it was a text or email that they were sending out rather than a message, but it was just saying, hey, I was looking at homes in your area, saw your home on Zillow. I looked at this estimate and I have some opinions about it. Want to hear them? And then, like, he said that would get a ton of listings for him because people are like, well, is it accurate? Is it not accurate?
Yeah, that's a perfect example of that's going to make them curious.
What was the name of that book again?
The Secrets of Question-Based Selling. So, and it's just a sales book. It's not a real estate sales book, but the whole thing is about using questions to sell, which is, it's a great book. So, okay. So we got to do something to create value or make them curious. So let's go back to when I was door knocking to Julie. Me saying to Julie, have you ever, how are you using real estate to plan for your financial future? Like, to some extent, I'm trying to figure out, one, does she have any investment properties? Two, would she be interested in it? And so typically saying to somebody, well, how would you feel about having an investment property? Sometimes I'll say, how would you feel about having what I call mailbox money? You go to the mailbox and there's just a check there waiting for you. That's the kind of stuff that's typically going to create some curiosity from somebody. And most people have thought about owning investment properties, therefore they're thinking, hey, that could be good. Okay? So we got to figure out some way to create value or to make them curious. I love that idea of, you could use that in your door knocking even, of just knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, I was looking at your house on Zillow and just thought I would stop by to see, have you stopped and looked at it on Zillow and what you thought about the value or whatever. And yeah, that may make them curious enough to say, well, I would be curious to know what my house is worth. So I love it. Thank you. All right. Number 4. The next thing is when you have to close. Okay? Now, there are only 4 ways in the English language that you can close. Oh my heck, I just saw Jesse. I just saw you're on Zoom. How you doing? Are you really there listening or no?
Yeah, I'm here, Russ.
Hey, good to see you, my friend. Jesse's,
Good to see you, my friend.
he's in California. When we had the offices down there, he worked down there. So how did you even know about this today?
Well, I talk with John Syed very often. We talk very often, and I was told peak training was coming up. I asked to be included in the daily messages and the trainings. I still watch your recordings on the YouTube channel whenever they're uploaded. So I said I want to be there live, and here I am. I got invited. Good to be back.
I just happened to glance over and see you were there, so good to have you. All right.
Yeah, good to be here.
So, okay, so the next thing that we have to do is you have to close. We have to close, and there's only 4 ways in the English language that you can do that. And it is what time, homes. Which time? How soon? When? And where? So I actually, really quick though, since we have Jesse here, I think, I'm trying to remember when I told this story, but I told a story recently, and I don't remember if it was a Morning Ascend or what, but I was told a story recently about a time when we were prospecting, and Jesse was on the phone with this guy, and then I just took over mid-call from him. And how old are you, Jesse?
I'm 24. At
24.
the time, I was 21.
At the time, he was 21, though, and the guy says, how long you been in real estate? And I was like, 25 years or something like that. And then we set the appointment, and then Jesse's like, what am I going to do when I get there and I'm 21? And I've told him I've been in real estate for 25 years. But anyway,
That's funny.
it was fun.
Yeah, the guy was a little shocked when I came in person. I was like, you heard 25? No, I said 2.
That was awesome. Okay, anyway, back to this. So close. There's only 4 ways in the English language that you can do it. It's what time, which time, how soon, when, or where. If you say anything besides that, you did not close for the appointment. Saying to somebody, can we get together? Can we get together is not asking for an appointment. What is can we get together asking for? What?
A no.
Yeah, well, no, yes, for sure.
Asking if they're willing, but it's not putting anything
General.
Yeah, good. So the idea of can we get together is like ultimately, is it possible? Now, you guys tell me, is it possible to get together?
Yeah.
It's always possible.
So the only question is,
Do you want to get
What time?
together?
what time, which time, how soon, when, or where? Because we know they can get together. The other one is now, so actually let me tell you a quick story on that. Had an agent that was in this class that I was teaching this. I brought that up and said, can we get together is not asking for an appointment. And she said to me, I say, can we get together? And I set tons of appointments. And I said, okay, so let me actually even just say this for you guys. What I'm giving you here is a formula. And if what you're doing is working, don't change. If what you're doing is working, don't change. And that's what I said to her. Hey, if it's working for you and you're saying, can we get together? Then don't change. The only reason I'm telling you this is if you want to get better and do more, then follow these steps. And she said, well, I say, can we get together all the time? And I do plenty of business. Great. As soon as the class was over, anytime somebody wants to argue like that, I'm like, okay, if it's working, then keep doing it. Like, that's fine. As soon as class was over, though, I went on the MLS and I did a search to see how many homes she had closed in the last year. 2. She had closed 2 homes in the last year. And I'm like, well, if that's how many homes you want to close in a year, keep saying, can we get together? But if you want to close more than that, so that's my new philosophy. Use can we get together if you want to close 2 homes a year.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is like, my first year, I did start setting a lot of appointments, but part of it too is you get a lot of no-shows. So if you're not really like focusing in on the language like you're talking about and like getting a real yes, then you can set appointments all day long, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna show up to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. Yep, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so let me give you another one. Would you like to get together? That is not asking for an appointment. What are you asking them?
Yes or no?
Yeah, but specifically, look at the question. Would you like to get together? What are we asking? If they would like it.
You're giving them an out.
Yeah, you're giving them an out, okay? Yeah, so we don't want to do that. Now, let me give you the worst one ever. Here's the worst one ever. And I'm going to do it in a little bit different way. So I'll start over here with Dave. Dave, why don't you give me some money?
I'm trying to save up right now.
Okay. Why don't you give me some money?
Why would I give you money?
Because I like it.
Why would I give you my money?
I don't know. Chad, why don't you give me some money? Okay. Luz, why don't you give me some money?
Because I don't have any.
Okay. Why don't you give me some money?
I don't know, you.
Okay. Why don't you give me some money?
I don't know that you earned it.
Okay. Julie, why don't you give me some money?
How much?
All right, $100. Okay. David, why don't you give me some? Okay, why don't you give me some? You need it? Becky, why don't you give me some? You can't? Okay. How much money did I just get?
Zero.
Why?
You're asking reasons why not.
Because what?
You're just asking for money or not.
Did I ask for money though?
Or why aren't you giving it?
I asked every one of you why you weren't gonna give me some money, and what did you tell me? A reason. You just gave me a reason you weren't gonna give me money. Guess what happens if you say to somebody, why don't we get together and talk about selling your home?
They're gonna give you all the reasons.
They give you all the reasons.
They're gonna give you all the reasons they're not going to. Now, let me give you the one caveat on this. When you say to somebody, can we get together? Why don't we get together? Would you like to get together? Is there a time we could get together? Anytime you say any of those and you get an appointment, the reason you got the appointment is because there was enough value or they were curious enough. So just know that you can get away with saying some of those other things if you've created enough value or made them curious enough. They will then say yes. But you've got a better chance if you're using what time, which time, how soon, when, and where. Here's the other thing. People like to be given options. So saying to somebody, does afternoon or evening work better? If you notice what I did with Julie was I said, does afternoon or evening work better? Once she told me that, then I narrowed it down to 5 or 6. Then I narrowed it down to which day. And you could do which day before you do time, doesn't matter. But just notice we got to close, and you have to be saying one of those things. What time, which time. So me saying afternoon or evening is just a version of which time. So I'm giving them 2 different times. So what time, which time, how soon, when, and then finally really where is more of like, so where are we going to meet? But on the when, just know you want to get that first no out of the way as fast as you can. So for me, that's why when I would go knock on somebody's door and say, we've just listed this home, who do you know that wants to move into the area? I'm expecting them to say nobody, because you're going to get that reflex no. No different than if you go show up to a department store and you walk in the department store and they say, can I help you? What do you say 90% of the time?
No.
And you know what? Just looking. See, if I was training the people at the department store, I would train them like this. So let's assume, Scott, you just walked into the department store. Can I help you?
I'm just looking.
Oh, really? What are you looking for?
Some pants.
Some pants. Oh, the pants are over here. Let me show you where they're at. See, now I got them. Versus they usually just do what? Oh, okay. Well, if you need anything, let me know. And then as soon as you need their help, you can't find them anywhere, right? Okay. Okay, so any questions on any of this? Go ahead, Tanner, then we'll
It's not really on this, but kind of just with the contacts, like what do you do, especially when you first started to get contacts like that? I know you said like expired, sell by owner, door knocking. Is there any other like kind of things that you tried out that worked?
So for me, I always knocked on doors was the first thing, and then in the afternoon I was calling. But for me, it was just listed or just sold calls. So I found a listing that the company had, and then I would get on the phone and just call people around that area, or I went and knocked on the doors around that area. And then I also would do for sale by owners and expired listings as well. We're going to actually on Tuesday, we're going to make a list up here of all of the different things you can do. And then what we'll talk about is how do we plug this into each of those different areas on Tuesday. So, okay.
Just something a little different from this, but just something more direct, like those were open-ended questions you were asking instead of a direct question. Like, when would you like to get together, whatever. Like for me, leaving a message now or sending an email or a text message, I used to always say, let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah.
And I just say, what questions do you have?
Yeah.
Is something more direct, is something more called.
That's good. I love it. Yeah, so, and in fact, as you're saying that, like, our assumptions will determine our behavior. So one of the things to keep in mind is your assumptions will determine your behavior. So even tying that back to, which, going with what Scott was saying, is his assumption is they're going to respond. That's why you're asking, what questions do you have? The assumption is they're gonna have some questions. Same thing applies with this focus, is my assumption is always I'm going to set an appointment. Therefore, I'm not gonna ask them, would you like to get together? Because my assumption is that they do want to get together. So the only question is what time, which time, how soon, when, and where. So your assumptions will determine the behavior that you're going to exhibit based on that. So anyway, yeah, perfect, Julie.
It's really important to listen because we're nervous and we feel like we need to give information to them. And really, they're just processing and thinking about their questions.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's good. And here's the other thing I will say in terms of that we'll talk about this on Tuesday as well, is sometimes you being at their door and knocking on their door may be the thing that then plants the seed that causes them then to move. And I'll tell you a story on Tuesday about a guy asking me, so when are you gonna move? And I told him I'm never gonna move. And yet a year later I moved. And I know from, like I said, I door knocked that Hoffman Heights area. Like I think I knocked on every door in the area. But I was amazed at how many times I would remember having a conversation with somebody telling me we're never gonna move, and a week later or a month later, there's a for sale sign in their front yard. And I'm like, I know I talked to them and they told me they weren't gonna move. So anyway, I'll show you how to deal with that as well. So anyway. Okay, yes, Luz.
Questions. When you were doing your 50 contacts, you were door knocking and calling, right?
Correct.
You were doing. Now, this is 50 people you actually talked to door knocking? Or you knocked on 50 houses?
No. I talked to, so for the door knocking, it was, I was gonna talk to 25. And then I would phone call in the afternoon for 25. But it was talk to. Yeah, so,
I mean, somebody that you actually talked.
So I might have knocked on 100 doors to get 25 contacts. I mean, I never kept track of the number of doors I knocked on, but it was talk to. Like I said, if I knocked on the door and they yelled at me and slammed the door, as long as I was able to say, I'm Russ and I'm with Century 21, I counted it. That was a contact for me. If they just opened the door and said, I'm not interested, and slammed the door on me, I didn't even get to say anything, I didn't count. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter anymore to me. What matters is I'm gonna do it until I set an appointment.
So I have a question. You were going home that week every day that you set an appointment. Did you always do that the rest of your career?
Yes.
Or did you try to
thank you.
continue setting appointments in that day?
For me, I always know.
As soon as you had
As
one?
soon as I set my appointment, I was.
I love that. I just never had heard it before because I was always told like, great, you set one, try to set 5 more, you know?
No,
Like,
for me
so-
personally, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, because, and I didn't finish the story, so yeah, let me tell you. After the week of doing that, I had set 5 appointments because I had worked the 5 days. I set 5 appointments and I was like, I'm sold, like this worked. So every day from then until I started doing trainings, as soon as I would walk in the door, first question my wife asked me every day, did you set an appointment? Because I told her if I ever come home without, you need to tell me, okay, leave.
Yeah.
And so I would walk in the door, she'd say, did you set your appointment? I'd say, yep. She'd say, okay.
Such great work-life balance. though,
Yeah,
too.
no, and it was awesome because typically now it didn't always, so I will give you that part of it. Early on, I was able to set an appointment pretty quickly because, like I said to you before, is I had all these leads of people who said they were gonna do stuff that I started calling. Eventually you get rid of all the low-hanging fruit and you gotta start actually working a little harder to get an appointment, which I did. And so it took me a little longer after a while, but I was sold on it by then of like, this is gonna work. And so 2 things from it. One is a year later, I had more than doubled my income. I don't think I hit the 100,000 that next year, but it was close. And then the next year after that, I doubled it again. And then the next year after that, I didn't double it again because, and I think the difference is I just stayed with just, I'm gonna set one appointment every day. Now, if you wanna take it to the next level, the last piece of this is what's called the transaction phase. In this phase, this is where Brian Burnett is type of a phase. Like this is, if you wanna be closing and making $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, in this phase, you have to keep one appointment every day. So if you had to, and I never went to this phase, I never said I'm gonna go to I'm gonna keep an appointment every day. Because if you're gonna keep one every day, you're gonna have to set how many every day? Probably
Yeah.
2, maybe even 3. If you're gonna keep an appointment every day. But I will tell you, if you keep one appointment every single day, that means you're gonna have to set up 2 appointments, have 2 appointments scheduled every day because one of them's probably gonna fall through.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to schedule 2 appointments for every single day in order to really go to that next level. But this is where you'll then take you to that, you're gonna close 50 plus deals a year and make 600,000, 700,000, 800,000.
Was he just personally, not like as a team, or anything like that, it is his own?
Brian Burnett? Well, so that's his income, yes, but his team does help now with it. But before he ever did start getting buyer's agents, he actually was doing, I want to say over $1 million, it's close to $2 million, I think, and it was just him. But what he does, in fact, I'll share with you guys what he does. He has appointments scheduled for 4 or 3 and 5, I think, every day. I can't remember the times now, but he has 2 appointment slots every day, 3 and 5. And his objective is to fill those every day. And then if for whatever reason he doesn't, then he'll prospect on a Saturday as well. But if he's filled them, then he won't prospect on Saturday. So anyway, so yeah, great question. That's this last phase is the transaction. This one you have to keep 1 appointment a day, which means you have to set more than 1. I actually, for me personally, I was happy where I was and was like, I liked the idea. I played a lot of golf back then.
Did you still continue like doing the door knocking too and keeping
Yes, I would.
that as part of your lead source?
So how I did it was I would start calling in the morning, and I was usually calling the for sale by owners and expireds. If I didn't set an appointment, then I would leave and go door knock, and generally I would get one from that. So, yep. Cool.
So good.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks for being here. So then part 2 of this will be on Tuesday, where what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up and show you guys the NAR does a survey every year of home buyers and sellers. I'm gonna take you through part of that survey. Then we're gonna make a list of here's all the ways and then show you how to incorporate this. But I'm gonna add a couple of other pieces in addition to that too. So anyway. That's my commercial to make you curious and create value to get you back. Go ahead.
You got like another one for like the appointments of how to set appointments and kind of how it falls through?
Yep, yeah, that's what we'll do after, in fact, I don't remember the date, but let me see what's next Thursday. Travis Kelce, what?
My algorithms bring up.
Let's